Good evening and welcome to Prime News. On My Media Prime, we bring you news from in and out of Cameroon, live from our headquarters at Fengudrong Bangor in Douala, the economic capital of the country. My name is Genda Pelgin Blanche King. At least 19 persons have been confirmed dead and several others injured in a fatal road accident which occurred yesterday along the Bafoussam-Fumban highway. The injured victims are receiving treatment at the Bafoussam hospital, while the deceased have been transferred to the hospital mortuary. Details of the story with Nora Kakebi.
A fatal accident occurred yesterday, Sunday, August 9th, 2020, at about 6 a.m. along the Bafoussam-Fumban Road, precisely on the Banifo Hills. A truck registered NW0953F was transporting some farmers to their farms on the outskirts of Bafoussam and suddenly lost control on the Banifo Hills, killing 8 passengers instantly on the scene of the accident, while many others sustained severe injuries. The injured passengers were rushed to the emergency unit of the hospital. Meanwhile, the remains of the dead bodies were conveyed to the Bafoussam Regional Hospital mortuary. It is worth noting that due to this sad incident, traffic was interrupted for hours along the Bafoussam-Fumban highway, with people wailing and shocked at the loss of human lives in a split of seconds. The exact cause of the accident has not been established, but investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, the administrative, health and security officials are still making efforts to identify all the victims involved.
Despite calls to stop ghost town on Mondays in Kumba, chief town of Kmer division, public offices and traders in the city have continued to respect calls for ghost town on Mondays. Municipal authorities were on the streets of Kumba earlier today to seal shops of those who failed to open for business, as our reporter Tamfu Sidwan Dimbia tells us from Kumba.
1 week after the city mayor of Kumba, Ngokele Victor, sealed shops at the Kumba main market for respecting ghost towns, the situation seems to be worse, as this day, August 10, 2020, there has been a heavy ghost town in the city of Kumba. Traders, taxi drivers, and even government and public institutions demonstrated a massive boycott of activities, resulting to a ghosted city. Municipal authorities resultantly sealed shops in the various markets and commercial centers as a punishment to those who did not respect the calls for resumption of activities. Kumba 1, Kumba 2, and Kumba 3 subdivisions all respected the amber calls for ghost towns for fears of being victims of amber targets. Even during the sealings of shops at the Kumba Central Market, gunshots escalated, bringing to a premature end of the sealing of shops by the municipal authorities, causing some traders who opened their shops for fears of being sealed to escape for their dear lives. As it stands, shops have been sealed in the city of Kumba and would only be open on Monday after traders will pay the sum of 25,000 francs CFA. The days ahead are seemingly pregnant, as the dreams of ending ghost towns are far from becoming a reality.
Youths from Upper Bayang, Manyo division of Memphis subdivision have donated food items to some vulnerable persons in Kumba. The items were donated yesterday as support at a time when the country is battling with a health and socio-political crisis. Tamfu Sidwan Dimbia reports.
The benevolent initiative of the Upper Bayang Youth Association has been extended to persons living with disabilities in Kmer division. Members of the association on Sunday 9 August 2020 donated food items to the physically challenged in Kumba. This is part of their objective to reach out to the vulnerable population.
Small things will give for them, even though it's not plenty.
Receiving the gifts, the persons living with disabilities appreciated and prayed that the Upper Bayang youth should do same to other vulnerable groups in the division.
So I thank God for their life, and I'm very happy for the food that they are putting on our table. We thank them very much for what they have done for us. May God Almighty bless them in their in and out.
After donating food items to the physically challenged in Kumba, they proceeded to a motherless home at Barombi Kang in Kumba 3 subdivision to donate rice, soap, groundnut oil, maggi, and all other assorted food items. Receiving the gifts, the motherless children appreciated the gesture and also prayed for the divine protection in the lives of members of the Upper Bayang Youth Association.
We thankful for the gift people have brought us, the good God will provide for you provision to multiply and source in Jesus' name. Amen. My children say thank you so much, and may the good Lord replenish your source 1,000-fold in Jesus' name. Amen.
The Upper Bayang youth are from the Manyu division of the southwest region of Cameroon.
The senior divisional officer for FACO has called on mayors of the 3 subdivisional council in Limbe and the city mayor to work hard in order to win the Clean City competition. He made this call while handing over hygiene and sanitation equipment donated to the councils by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development ahead of the Clean City competition. Kumal tells us more in the following report. We'll get back to the report from Limbe. Over 200 public investment projects in the southwest region have been earmarked for implementation, and several others expected to mature for implementation in the next 3 years. This was revealed by the regional delegate of economic planning and regional development for the southwest region. Crise tells us more.
This regional meeting is aimed at examining the maturation and programming of public investment projects for the southwest region. During this meeting, it was revealed that about 200 projects have been matured for programming. This was preceded following the evaluation of projects based on laid down criteria by the Ministry of Economic Planning and Regional Development. Godlove Mbinda expatiates.
If you're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about elements of feasibilities, we're talking about the cost estimate, we're talking about the availability of, say, a site, and so we're also talking about the tender documents, because we realized that one of the issues for which our projects are slowly executed in the region, some of the reasons they usually advance is that tender files are sent to the tenders board late because these projects were not well matured.
While expressing hope for their project to be accepted when it reaches Yaoundé, these different stakeholders highlighted a number of challenges faced that has hindered the realization of some projects. Among these difficulties raised were things such as exploitation, administrative bottleneck, making most of their project not being mature. Most importantly, these participants complained about the lack of engineers for the collection of data due to the inaccessibility to some project sites hard hit by the ongoing Anglophone crisis.
The number of projects that have been awarded because they are matured were distributed according to the number of years, the maturity for 2021. For 2022 and 2023 were seen. Some others still need to be matured because some documents are lacking, either the bill of quantities.
To mitigate this, councils whose projects are at about 80% maturation rate have been given extra time, the delegates, for their reviews.
There are so many projects that still have to come up with about 80% of the elements of maturity. And there are so many projects some of those have elements about 80% of the elements of maturity, as I said. And so they just need to update some of those elements of maturity.
Also present, the governor's representative enjoined stakeholders to draw lessons from past mistakes by devising alternative local means to ensure that their projects reach maturity despite challenges they might face.
We now revisit Limbe in the southwest region, where council authorities have been called up to work hard ahead of the Clean City competition. Kumal is our reporter on standby.
The ball has been set rolling for the Clean City competition, with the cities of Yaoundé, Douala and Limbe selected to take part in the competition. The competition was launched on Wednesday, August 8 in Yaoundé by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Madame Celestine Ketcha-Cortes. Following the launching of the competition in Yaoundé, subdivisional councils in Limbe and the Limbe City Council recently received hygiene and sanitation equipments from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development through the Senior Divisional Officer for FACO, Emmanuel Ngamba Ledu, in a ceremony that took place at the open air of the SDO's office. Presiding over the handing over ceremony, the Senior Divisional Officer called on the mayors to put the equipment in good use for Limbe to emerge winner of the Clean City competition. The equipment comprised of wheelbarrows, spades, cutlasses, buckets, racks, gloves, face masks, just to mention but these few. On her part, the Divisional Delegate for Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Ngangsi Regina, said that The equipments from her minister is to equip the councils to register the best in the competition.
What they are to do is to keep the municipality clean, because what we are expecting is that everybody should take his or her municipality as his or her home. Because if you keep your home clean and you take your municipality as your home, you actually keep your home also municipality also clean.
On behalf of the mayors of the subdivisional councils in Limbe, Madame Boye Eposi Florence expressed gratitude to the minister and promised to distribute the equipments to the various quarters of her municipality to get them involved in the competition.
Limbe is very prepared for the competition. We have always been the first. What the Limbe one and the city councils are doing now will go a long way to salvage the urban disorder.
The competition, organized by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, falls in line with celebrations marking the 2020 edition of the World Habitat Day. The overall objectives of the competition is to reward the cleanest municipalities of the cities of Yaoundé, Douala and Limbe in order to strengthen the involvement of all stakeholders in the sanitation of the urban environment.
Officials of the PCR and political party of Honorable Kabra Libi are on a Thanksgiving tour through the northern regions of Cameroon. The team led by Kabra Libi was in Menganga, Adamawa region earlier today. Lasha Kingsley reports.
The Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, PCRN of Honorable Kabara Libi, is touring the east, Adamawa, north and far north regions of the country on what the party terms Thanksgiving tour of the regions. Honorable Kabara Libi, accompanied by Honorable Noran Fossing and other top party officials, were in Meganga, Adamawa region today. After the town of Betwa, the team met with the population of Garwa Bulai. It was also an occasion for the inauguration of the party's headquarters at Garwa Bulai.
J'inaugure et je déclare ouvert les bureaux du comité d'arrondissement du PCRN pour Garwa Bulai.
The population of Garwa Bolai also received some COVID-19 kits from the party, comprising of buckets, savon, face mask, amongst others. The team was equally given a warm reception in Meganga, Adamawa region. The Thanksgiving tour, according to the party officials, is another strategy to lay down groundworks for future elections in the country.
World Breastfeeding Awareness Campaign is observed yearly in the month of August to inform, encourage and initiate good virtues of exclusive breastfeeding among nursing mothers. This year's event is commemorated under the theme Support Breastfeeding for a Healthier Planet. Our reporter Bokengo Kenya Worthy completes this report.
Crise celebrated on August 1992 by government policy makers, World Health Organization, the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund UNICEF, and other organizations. Breastfeeding Awareness Campaign aims to protect, promote and support nursing mothers to nurture and bond with their children in early life.
The World Health Organization recommends that babies are exclusively breastfed starting from the first hour of life until they're about 6 months old, when solids are introduced. It is then recommended that breastfeeding is continued for 12 to 24 months or even beyond.
Breastfeeding provides numerous vitamins, nutrients and more which are essential for the baby as well as for the mother.
Breastfeeding isn't just beneficial for the baby, there are benefits for mom as well. It reduces the risk of breast and ovarian cancer, decreases postpartum bleeding, and even helps you return to your pre-pregnancy weight.
Nonetheless, the rates of exclusive breastfeeding worldwide stands at an estimated 40%, as some nursing mothers are unable to breastfeed their babies for reasons which includes unhealthy production of breast milk due to diseases and infections like HIV, herpes, amongst others, unpaid maternity leave, medication, stigma, as well as malnutrition.
Despite these benefits, there are challenges as well. Some mothers are unable to breastfeed their babies. They have to express their milk and feed the babies via a bottle. Some others are unable to breastfeed the babies because of pre-existing medical conditions or medications that they take. Remember to speak to your doctor or the midwife if you take any regular medications.
The World Health Organization, together with the UNICEF and partners, call on governments across the globe to protect and promote women's access to skilled breastfeeding so as to avert an estimated 20,000 maternal deaths yearly due to breast cancer, as well as achieve 2030 Sustainable Development Goals.
Bokengo Worthy ending the report for what's new in the African continent from Quinta compiled news from Niger, Nigeria and Algeria. Her reports.
In the African continent today, a Nigerian Islamist court has sentenced a 22-year-old artist, Yahaya Sharif Aminu, to death by hanging after convicting him of blaspheming Prophet Muhammad. According to reports, an upper Sharia court in Kano State ruled that 22-year-old Yahaya Sharif committed blasphemy in a song he circulated via WhatsApp in March. After composing the song, the musician had gone into hiding for fear of being lynched by protesters who had burnt down his home, demanding action against him. His critics say the song praised an imam to an extent of elevating him above Prophet Muhammad. In Northern Africa, an Algerian journalist has been jailed in a high-profile court case seen as a test of press freedom in the country. The journalist was given a 3-year sentence accused of endangering national security after he covered anti-government protests. According to Algerian Press Freedom Campaign Group, Reporters Without Borders, if Mr. Dereni were jailed, it would be proof of a shift towards authoritarianism in Algeria. Meanwhile, in Niger, gunmen have killed at least 6 French aid workers, a Nigerian guide, and a driver in a wildlife in the park. Sources say the group was attacked in a giraffe reserve near Koura, a town about 60 kilometers from the capital, Niamey. Confirming the attack, the Association of the Giraffe Reserve Guide described the attackers as a unit of terrorists.
And with that report from Fon Quinta, we end today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. Thanks for being a part. Join us tomorrow at 6:30 for another edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. Ewane Eli Nolinga produced the news, coordinated by Lasha Kingsley. My name is Genda Pelgin Blanche King. We're urging you to stay tuned to My Media Prime. Coming up next is Prime Hour with Kum Leonard and his panelists. Enjoy it. Good night.